Are you chasing the elusive catch-up day? That mythical beast that's going to make everything right for you, that's going to bring you calm and control. The one quiet day where you can get on with everything that's on your to-do list, get the backlog tidied up, and you can go forward with calm and control. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but the chances of that happening are fairly small. And that's because work doesn't stop happening to give you a catch-up day. Emails still come in, tasks still arrive on your list, customers still want things, and you just don't get a quiet day where nothing happens and you can get up to date with everything. And if you did, by any chance, catch that mystical creature and get up to date, and maybe you cheat and do that by working a day at the weekend when you should be having time off. If you get to the point where you are feeling like you've caught up and you're feeling less stressed and got control over everything and a bit calmer, that's going to last probably about an hour into the next working day, and all will be lost. Unless you've got systems in place that allow you to maintain that calm and control. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today we're talking about the last of the foundation stones, stone number 5, and that is maintenance. Hi, I'm Sarah and I'm the Office Fixer, and I'm here to help you create a business that feels calmer, more organised and more manageable. So what is maintenance? Well, it's a regular small amount of time to make sure that you're on top of everything. So rather than waiting for your one big day, you have a regular slot where you're planning what you need to do. And we've talked about capturing and prioritising your tasks back in the week where we talked about Foundation Stone 3. And the maintenance is the thing that keeps you on top of that system. So I call it my weekly reset. And I do mine on a Sunday evening, but you might find a different time that suits you better. So you just need to put aside 10 to 15 minutes, and you might want to do that at the end of Friday as you close off your week. You might prefer to do it first thing on a Monday morning before you start your week. For me, I like to sit down on a Sunday evening and just sort of plan the week ahead so I know what's coming up and I can get going first thing on Monday morning. So in that 10 to 15 minutes, you want to be looking at your commitments that you've already got in for the week ahead. So checking your diary and see what's coming up. And then you need to look at your tasks, review any unfinished work from the week before and what needs to be continued this week. And you need to look at what else is coming up and what else you need to do in this week. So if you've created a capture system, as I've talked about in my Chaos to Calm download, then you probably have some lists this week, next week, later on in the future. So you need to make sure that the tasks that you want to do this week are in your this week list. And a prioritised task list isn't moving everything into the list, because that's just moving everything into the list. You need to really think about which are the things that you need to get done. So I always recommend you have sort of your top 3 for the week that you want to achieve. You maybe have more that if things go well, you can get some more done. But I'd also, out of that top 3, recommend that you pick the top 1. So if for some reason the week goes a bit bottoms up, then you know the one thing that you really need to focus on and make sure that happens amongst all the chaos. So you have a clue what's going on in the week ahead of you. You've looked at your work and you've decided what needs to be your priority tasks and what needs to be done that week. And if you're doing that every week, then you are staying on top of and making sure that the things that need to be done are getting done and prioritised. And you're not sort of losing stuff and missing stuff. And how you do this is entirely up to you. You may have systems that you're already using. For me, I sit down with my paper planner, if you like, my pen and paper, and I use the pages in that for the weekly planning. But the actual tasks are on my Trello board. I have 2 or 3 different Trello boards depending on what I'm planning for personal stuff or for work stuff. So the tasks and the due dates are all on there, so I can refer to those and I can easily see, because of the due dates, what needs to come up. But then I write that down in my planner, because for me, being able to have that planner on my breakfast bar where it's really visible is a really helpful way of keeping me on track. So what I would recommend that you do for this next week is to put in your diary a recurring appointment for your weekly reset. So 10-15 minutes, whatever day and time is going to suit you. There is no right or wrong. It's the day and the time that you think you can stick to. So whenever that works for you best in your week. And it doesn't have to be on a Friday or a Sunday or a Monday. I mean, traditionally, we have the weekends off, and that's sort of if we're in office work. And so that's what you think of as the end and the beginning of the week. But your week may not work like that. So whatever day works best for you, but put that in your diary as a business appointment. Because if you just think, oh yeah, I'll do it then, but then you don't put it in your diary, stuff's going to come in and take over. If you've got it in there as an appointment, you're more likely to think about it and reserve that time for that small sort of maintenance task. So find that time in your diary, put your appointment in, and then, as I say, during those 10 minutes, sit down, look at your diary, review your work, and decide what's the important work for the next week. So this isn't reorganising your whole business. This is just about keeping your attention on the tasks that are the next tasks to do. So if you haven't downloaded my Chaos to Calm starter kit, then I will put the link in the description below. And there is an opportunity after you've downloaded that for you to sign up for my weekly reset email, if you want to do that. And that's an email I send out every Friday, lunchtime, afternoon, just as a reminder to you to do your weekly reset, a reminder as to what to cover, and there's usually an extra sort of action to that relates to the video from this week for you to do during that time. So if you want to be part of that weekly reset list, then that comes in at the end of after you've downloaded the Chaos to Calm. The opportunity to sign up for that is there. So next week we will be moving on to the next step in the customer journey, if you like, for my tools. So we've covered now all of the 5 foundation stones, of which maintenance is the last one. And the next step in the journey is to processorize. And processorize is my made-up word, but it basically means to create processes in your business. And that sounds really dry and boring and horrible, but it's really quite a time-saving task once you've done it. It's a time-saving task, it's a stress-saving task, and it does make a difference to your business moving forward in terms of what you're able to automate and delegate. So it's quite an important step, even though it doesn't sound that exciting. But I promise you it'll be worth the effort. So hopefully we'll see you back here next week. Thanks for watching. And if this has helped, please subscribe to my channel, and please share with another overloaded solopreneur that you know who would really benefit from learning about systems to create themselves a much calmer business. Here's to taking back control, one small system at a time.